Hi, I'm Christy. I'm here today with my friend Vicky, and we're talking about the non-traditional path after high school. How you doing, Vicky?
Great. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for joining me.
Sure.
I know that we both have some personal experience with this situation. So can you tell me a little bit about what your son is going through?
So I actually have two sons, both college age. So my older son is 23 now. So we kind of went through this a few years ago. And my younger son is 19, just graduated from high school last year. So both of them, of course, I expected them both to finish high school, go to college, and go to a four-year school and figure out what they wanted to do. That's not the case for either of them. But we're working through it. I'm used to it now that I know that they're not traditional college-bound students. They weren't ever scholars in school, and school really wasn't their favorite thing to do. So they were bright, a little lazy. My older son, I kind of pushed him a little bit more than I probably should have after high school or during his senior year of high school. He probably wasn't ready to start college right out of high school. So we negotiated, and he went to community college for 2 years.
And how did that go?
He finished. I said, you have to go to community college. You have to do something. You can't not go to college. And so he agreed that community college would be for him, which he did. He got through it. I hoped that he would transfer into a four-year college from there. Didn't happen right out of community college, and he started working. He worked his way up through the restaurant business, and now he's kind of head chef at a restaurant in town.
Wow.
So, and he loves it. So he's got that management skills that he's learning on the job training.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that sooner or later then he'll decide that he has to actually go back and get his degree. But right now he's happy with what he's doing and hasn't seen the need for it yet.
Okay.
My younger one, I decided, so we were happy just to get him through high school, which he did do, and he wants to be a fireman eventually. Mm-hmm. He has a friend on the force in town, so he kind of has a little bit of exposure to that. So hopefully he'll get his stuff together in the next year or two, and really, I know that right out of high school was not for him to start college, so let him kind of find himself a little bit over the next year or so, and then he will. If he wants to go on into fire sciences, then he'll have to, of course, find a program to do that.
Do you think you were more open to a non-traditional path for your second son because you had already been through it with your first son?
Yeah, for a couple of different ways, because I knew that after the first one, pushing him probably wasn't the way to do it. And also my second child is more kind of a hands-on learner, mm-hmm. and I think a route in the trades would be more suitable for him. Mm-hmm. So if he doesn't do the fire sciences, I think that he'll either do something with like maybe electrician or a carpenter or something like that, which is great because that's what he's great at and that's what he loves, and
it's a great living.
Sitting at a desk all day long is not for him, for sure.
Yeah.
How about you?
Well, you and I have shared a little bit of the details of my son's story. My son, I come from a place where you go to college 4 years
Sure.
after high school. It's what you do. There is no option. I mean, you can maybe choose where, and you can maybe choose what you study. My family wasn't you have to be a lawyer or anything like that, but I did have some alma mater pressure when I was growing up. But I didn't do that to my son. But it was just always an assumption because he's always been really smart. Academics were definitely when he was 3, he wanted to be an astronaut scientist. He's going to go to space. He's going to be a scientist. And he was always really good in the science classes and always good in the math classes. But as he grew, he had this sort of attitude that the schools, he didn't want to have to play by their rules. He didn't want to have to meet their expectations. He is a very self-propelled learner and felt that he valued learning for its own sake, but he didn't want to be forced to learn what they told him he had to learn in the way he had to learn it, kind of thing. He didn't, kind of the man kind of thing.
Sure.
So his grades are not reflective of his ability, but he also, I think he may have leaned on that a little bit, and just it became easy to just not do it. Maybe he calls it lazy or whatever you want to call it. And he's had his struggles, and I think that he wanted to go to college, but I think that he didn't want to do what had to be done in order to get there. And a couple of years ago, he picked up his first guitar, My father was moving from Connecticut to Florida and didn't want to take this extra guitar with him, so he gifted it to my oldest son. And everything changed. Like, the entire universe shifted on its axis the minute that kid picked up that instrument. Great. So he has taught himself how to play, which is great. And he got a scholarship, a summer scholarship, to the Berklee College of Music summer program in Boston last year. And it was great on the one hand because it showed him what was possible. And we were hoping it would show him, sort of the concrete evidence of the effort of getting into college and where he could be. Unfortunately, because he's young for his grade and he's maybe a little immature for his age, he was too young to be in Boston for 5 weeks on his own. And he learned a lot of music, and he learned how to party. and I think that what we've learned is, even though his grades aren't stellar, he hasn't made the most of his time in high school. Maybe even if he had, maybe college right away may not be right for him.
Sure.
I think about how much I value learning now, and how college was great when I went, but the opportunity to learn everything you want to in college is something you don't really understand while you're there. I think that so many of us who went to college right out of high school, you didn't really appreciate the opportunities for learning for its own sake. You loved college, you knew you wanted to go to college, you knew that it was related to your career path, but just the learning for its own sake. I think that I'm hoping that what will happen, and we're working through some obstacles right now. He's going to graduate, and I'm hoping for some really cool gap year program, something that helps him mature a little bit emotionally and understand himself a little bit better. Maybe if he understands that, then maybe he can come back from gap year
Sure.
with a goal, whether it's a trade or whether it's music. One thing's for sure, I'm not letting him go to like New Orleans to play guitar. That's not his gap year plan.
Is that his?
In a perfect world, he wants to go play guitar in New Orleans for the year. Yeah, and there's not a lot. I'm sure he'd have a blast. There's not a lot redeeming from a career perspective for me in that. And maybe that's the old-fashioned mom talking. Sure. That wants it to be more resume friendly. Does that make sense? But he's growing every day into a young man, as opposed to the kid that even just last year went off to the Berklee College program. And so I'm hoping that even in another year he will have made that much more progress. But I guess at the end of the day, the issue becomes how we reconcile ourselves to the fact that it's their decision at the end of the day. It's really their lives. And letting them fall on their face if that's what needs to happen in order for them to figure it out. And it's really hard because, again, I come from a very traditional family. Go to college. It's what you do. Whether or not you want to, even whether or not you're ready to, it's what you do. It's just the next step. And I've come to a place where I'm okay if he doesn't go to college right away. And even if he doesn't go to college, the awkward thing is the freshman, my younger son, is now talking about colleges, and the senior is not. And so that's a whole nother dynamic.
Yeah, it's funny how they grow up in the same household and they're totally different kids.
Yeah. Yeah, but do you think that talking to the freshman about college in front of the senior is counterproductive?
No, because you also have to think about your younger son's goals and what he's looking for too, and
yeah.
You don't want to shut him down or shut down what he's aspiring to do.
No, and I think that they're pretty honest with each other about where they sit. And at the end of the day, I think they're both strong, intelligent people. They'll be okay. It's just, I think as a parent, it's disconcerting to not know where they're headed.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to add?
Oh, that's great. Thanks for chatting.
We do have a lot of other videos to offer. Please feel free to browse around. And if you have any questions at all for Vicki or me or for the team in general, you can leave a comment here and we will answer any questions that you have.